Hey everyone, I'm here with Peter Lebedevs, the director of a new tournament on the ATP Tour this year, the Dallas Open. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Will. Glad to be here, mate.
Awesome. So we've got your tournament coming up here in February. It's a new tournament on the calendar. I wanted to start by just giving people the dates, the ticket options. Let's just go ahead and sell it straight from the beginning here.
Okay. With the Dallas Open, we are at the Stifling Alltech Tennis Complex. We'll be here February 6th through the 13th. Okay. So you can get any of your tickets from dallasopen.com. There's no tickets available for the finals. We're already sold out for that. So that's a great thing, even though nobody knows who's going to be there. But we're going to be sold out for that. And but beginning of the week, we're going to have some great talent. On the 11th of February, our player field gets finalized. We'll make an announcement. And there's a couple of players that have not been released yet. They're going to be joining, and I think everybody's going to be excited to see them. So hang out for that announcement on the 11th.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And I live in Fort Worth. So when I first saw this, I was super excited to have a tournament come so close. And I'm definitely planning on being there every day. So if there's any listeners that do attend, let me know and we can watch some tennis. What about people coming from out of town? Do y'all have any like hotel package options or anything like that? Or is it, I mean, Dallas, people can figure it out, but
yeah, no, we really don't have any packages that we've put together. The beauty of our event this year, we've gone into a smaller, more compact, more intimate venue. So we don't have like the 7,000 seat arena. And so far, again, we've sold out of our VIP boxes in May, and we've, like I said, already sold in the final. So we haven't done that. That'll be year two. We'll create all the packages. But look, there's a couple of hotels, great hotels around here at SMU. The players will be staying next door at the Highland, but the Beeman is just down the road, and the Lumen is also on campus, all within really walking distance of the venue. So,
okay. So what I'll do for anybody listening, I'll link to those hotels in the show notes so people can find them if they're coming from out of town. I know there's a lot of listeners from the Texas area since that's where I live. So I'm going to try to convince a lot of people to come up for it. So we'll dive into that a little bit more here shortly. But before we get into that, as well as your story and some double strategy stuff, I wanted to give you an opportunity to make a prediction here. So,
okay.
So this might determine the headline we write. So I think what we'll do is we'll go, today's Thursday, January 6th. We're going to publish this next Wednesday. And right now in your home country, Novak Djokovic is stuck in a hotel room, not sure if he's going to get to play the Australian Open. So what is your prediction for what's going to happen?
It's really hard because nobody knows Novak's situation. Look, my home country is tough. I haven't been home in nearly 3 years, and full disclosure, I'm fully vaxxed and boosted. And I think I'll be able to go home in February to see my family in Perth. So, I think the longer he's there, probably the better. If he is, I'd actually heard he'd been put on a plane, so you know more than me. I haven't seen any of the reports.
I could be off. I think he's in a hotel room till Monday, but I could be wrong.
I think the hardest thing for Novak, if he does get to stay, it's going to be a very, very tough crowd.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for him. I mean, he's a fantastic player, and he's loved in Australia, won it 9 times, but Australia has been so tough with all of this and lockdown. I think it's going to be tough for him if he does play. It's just going to be a really difficult situation for him. So I don't know. A prediction, I'd probably say they're not going to let him in. But look, if he has the right paperwork and the government says it's fine, then it's fine. But because supposedly, as you've all read, it's an independent. They don't know it's Novak appealing. They just know it's somebody.
Right.
But I know they will make sure that if he does get cleared, he's earned it. I can tell you that. So there's he won't get any favoritism about if he's questionable. He will have to have earned it. with all of the details. So.
All right. Well, everybody listening to this already knows what happened. So you're either going to be right, and everybody's going to think that you're a genius, or you'll be a little off on that one. So we'll see.
Okay, that's right.
We'll see. So, so back to your event. You said you're still finalizing the field. So I know you've got Isner, Opelka, Dimitrov, Taylor Fritz, Kei Nishikori. Any other announcements recently? I know there's a few coming. You mentioned.
Yeah, we haven't made any other announcements.
Okay.
We got a couple of guys I say that I know because they just sign up just like a regular tennis tournament, any junior tennis tournament where 100 people sign up for 28 spots and the highest ranked people get in.
Sure.
And our cutoff is Monday the 10th, and then we get the final list on the 11th. But I do know there are a couple of great names that have signed up. So until they've actually made the list, I can't say, because they could pull out if they get hurt or something like that. So can't announce anything. But there's two that I think everybody in Texas will like them, and around the world. One of them has some great stories around the world. So we'll see what happens on the 11th.
Awesome. Well, we're excited for that. Yeah, a lot of big names there. Are you going to have a doubles draw as well?
Yes, we will. The doubles draw doesn't close until the 18th. Actually, maybe I think it's even later than that, as to who gets in for pre-selection. But I wouldn't be surprised if two of those names you already mentioned might just decide to play doubles together, just to get a little bit more court time. I've been talking to them, and so there might be of those five guys, two of them might be playing doubles together.
Yeah.
And it's not the serve bots.
Oh, it's not. Okay. I was going to say, I would guess Isner, because he's helping kind of promote the tournament, and his foundation's kind of a partner, right?
Right. We've copied sort of the golf model. It's how the golf tournaments are hosted by Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, those sorts of things. Well, John is our host, and the way we're doing that is he's kicking off his Isner Family Foundation on the 4th, and he's playing a sort of a team format, three guys against three other guys. They'll play 3 sets of fast four singles and then a set of doubles, and that's going to help his foundation. So he's been working with us to help promote the Dallas Open. I mean, I was sending him some emails last night for some things we got planned just after he lost to Dan Evans, and responding great. And he texted me during the year from Italy saying, "Hey, this guy wants to play. Reach out, see if you can get him to play." So that's never really happened, where you've got an active player who's helping the tournament director get the right guys to the tournament. So it's really been great to have John here and helping us. And look, he's a class guy, ambassador for the game, and tremendous. And obviously he's very fired up for the football game on Monday night with his dogs in it.
Yeah, he's a big Georgia guy, I know. So that'll be exciting. So we'll have lots of good singles players, some great doubles matchups, I'm sure. How many courts are going to be
two match courts? We'll have our stadium court and our grandstand court on the in the actual indoor building of the complex here. And then the other side, which is the practice courts, we're actually putting a giant tent over all 6 courts. It's going to look amazing. And we'll have the 2 practice courts there. So, all of the fans can go in there and really get at eye level right behind a John Isner serve, a Riley Opelka serve, or a ground stroke, because the courts, you'll be right next to them. And I think the great part about it is you'll actually be behind the baseline at ground level. So I've stood behind John's serve a couple of times when we're doing some promotional stuff, and boy, I've never seen a ball bounce that high and move that much. Right. So I'm now amazed at how well they return. So the fans can sit back there and really watch it, and it'll be amazing for them, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah. So behind the baseline is always my favorite place to sit. I feel like you can get a lot more sense of what's going on, whereas the sidelines, it's just more of kind of back and forth, like a game of Pong or something.
Well, I'd tell you what, Will, you've never seen a group of individuals move more in unison than if you just watch a sideline of a tennis match. Everybody, all 5,000 people that are watching on the sideline are moving their head left to right in absolute unison. It's great. Look, we have There's some people who love to sit on the sidelines and behind the player benches so they get close to the players. There are the others that like to sit in the ends that, don't want to turn. And then there are those that like to sit in the corner so they, get on camera and the balls are being hit at them and they're having to dodge the ball. So everybody has a little bit of a different feel. But we have the coaches' boxes for the match. They'll be at the end. So because the coaches like to have that perspective, sort of to what you're saying.
Yeah. I feel like since I don't know, I like to study the strategy more so I can see the angles a little bit better from the baseline. But so that's really cool. So you've got these 2 practice courts going on. I went to Indian Wells a few months ago in October, and my favorite part of the whole tournament was going and hanging out at the practice courts. I mean, I spent hours over there each day, and I saw Bethany Maddox-Sands practicing by herself and got to chat with her, and Ika Swiatek and Denis Shapovalov, and chatted with his coach for a little bit. So that'll be really cool to have that kind of intimate atmosphere, like you're saying.
Yeah, it'll be different. And again, I think most of the courts in Indian Wells, when you're at the back, you're a little bit higher. And that's what's going to be, you sort of the stands are up for us because you're going to be right at court level. I think that's going to make it even more unique. We might have to get double, sort of having a fishing net sort of backdrop. We might have to double it up with those guys serving at it. So
yeah, you don't want John Isner serving it at some people.
134 coming at that fence, a little scary.
So that's a good transition to my next question. So we know each other from Memphis.
Correct.
You were the tournament director at the Racket Club in Memphis. There's a pro tournament there, late 90s through 2000s. What were the years roughly?
Right, 2017 was the last event in Memphis.
Oh, 2017. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was gone at that point. But so I was a ball kid for the tournament for maybe 3 years. I don't know how long. And I do remember Andy Roddick, Mark Philippoussis was there sometimes. And y'all would always have to get the bigger kids on those matches because they're serving so big, because there's just too much liability, I imagine. So and one of the other things we talked about when I saw you a few months ago was how those Memphis ball kids were voted like best ball kids on tour each year. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong here.
No, it was. I mean, look, I ran the ball kids for that many years, and you know the training sessions we did. I hit balls at you all, and I don't know. Did I ask you if you remember the ball split for the tiebreakers? We had a big system worked out.
Yeah.
I still remember it. We had a ball person try out here on Sunday, and I was back down in the trenches with that group here in Dallas. But yeah, we were pretty polished in Memphis over those years. I mean, if you got to be in the semifinals and finals, which I know you did a couple of times, I mean, that meant you were the best of the best. 144 kids to do it is what it took.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun, and I remember running around the kind of the grounds and stuff in between matches, and we had they had a corn dog stand that was just the best corn dog I've ever had in my life. And then there was also a kids' day with the Bryan brothers. What kind of atmosphere is kind of outside of the tennis should people expect?
Well, we have a very intimate atmosphere. So, and the players are going to be walking sort of on the gates through the same gates as the fans. So they're going to have an opportunity to sort of see the guys walking past them. Mm-hmm. We're having on Wednesday. It's not a kids' day, but it's a junior tennis day. So we're trying to get some groups in here, and on Monday night have a great opportunity to get some groups to do some high five lines and have some fun out there. And on Tuesday night, we're going to do college night, where the young man from SMU, Caleb Chakravarti, he's going to be playing in the main draw of singles. He'll be at 7:00 that Tuesday night. So we're going to have the SMU students are going to be coming over. It may be I said Novak might have a tough time. Whoever plays against Caleb, it'll definitely be a crowd for Caleb. And then Wednesday, we're doing a sort of a way back Wednesday. We want people to dress up in their historic clothes, because obviously with WCT tennis here in Dallas being the beginning of professional tennis and the the Borgs, the McEnroes, the Lavers, the Roseville. So we're going to have a lot of fun on the court with giveaways and who's got their old look in there. Unfortunately, I don't fit into my old feeler warm-up that I had as a 17-year-old kid, the Borg throwback. But so we're going to have some really fun opportunities like that. And we'll have autograph sessions each day in the village, as well as some meet and greets for our box holders and our sweet ticket holders as well. So it's going to be, I think, the opportunity to get up and close and personal to some of these players is something you won't be able to do, that you can never do at a US Open. And even at Indian Wells, you just don't get up that close. Here, we're going to be able to have that opportunity.
Awesome. So next I want to dive into your story a little bit. I don't even know your story, like how you got started in tennis and that sort of thing. I know you're from Australia. So tell us, how did you get started in tennis? I know you played professionally a little bit. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, look, I'm your typical kid back in, 70s and 80s when I was, late 70s, early 80s. I just did every sport there was out there. And funnily enough, my mother had always wanted me to play tennis. And at my high school, my 7th grade class, they offered this opportunity. A coach comes into the school and does these 45-minute lessons for 6 weeks. And so I said, okay, cool, I'll sign up for doing that. And I did that. And at the end of the 7 weeks, I won the trophy for, whatever. So I got a trophy. And then the coach there, Peter Dyson, said, look, I run this tournament next week. I'd never played a tournament. He said, why don't you come down and play it? It's for all of my students. So I rocked up there and left the house, 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't have the rules of, limited number of matches in a day. So, 5 matches later in that day, I won the tournament. And I got another trophy. And I was like, let me think about this, because my sister did a sport and she had more trophies than me. And I was playing Australian rules football and cricket and sort of getting a trophy a year. I'm like, I can catch my sister. And that's sort of what somewhat motivated me. And then even in high school, though, I still played cricket and tennis, like tennis outside and cricket at school. And then if you've ever watched cricket, you can sit in the field for like 4 hours and not touch the ball. And I just sort of said, nah, to heck with this. And then I started playing tennis full on. So I really didn't start playing junior tennis and that till I was 13, nearly 14. And then after that, fell in love with it, did it, and had a great opportunity. And after being a senior in high school, the best opportunity for me to play more tennis and, with the dream being obviously to play professionally, collegiate tennis in the US was the best opportunity with the support, the matches. So I went to Memphis and connected with Phil Chamberlain, who was the tennis director of the Racket Club of Memphis when I came there. We're from the home city. And it's before the days of being able to just send an email or do a FaceTime. I had to write letters and call and all that sort of stuff. And and Phil was awesome. He said, look, fellow Aussie, come on over. And so April of 83, got off the plane, didn't know anybody. And when they met me at the airport, they said, are you Kevin? I said, no, I'm Peter. But they said, okay, you must be the guy because you got 5 tennis rackets. So then I went to Phil's place. And at the end of that summer, I had, I think 4 or 5 opportunities to go to some schools and ended up Memphis being one of them. And I sort of fell in love with that aspect and what I thought my game needed and things like that. So I stayed there. I played that summer. I had ATP points. And so, I was playing the satellites and that. And so that's it. Played college tennis for the 4 years. I actually had been coaching tennis in Australia. I love coaching, love teaching people things. And so when I came to Memphis, I was also teaching the junior program at the Racket Club and working with a couple of kids just, because I just love to do it. And, quickly realized I was not going to make money being a tennis player. Just flat out wasn't that good as much as the dream was shattered very early.
It's pretty tough.
Look, it's unbelievable. And so then I went into the coaching at the Racket Club, and the Racket Club in Memphis had the girls 18 hard courts back in the day, as well as now the clay courts, as well as a professional event. And something that was a perfect fit for me to go where I would, love to do coaching tennis, and then being able to get onto the tournament side, both from an amateur USTA national level to the professional. And so over those years, I did a little bit of everything at the tournament, picked up the 72 cars for the tournament my first year, and all the players got a car to drive around Memphis for all those years. And then I did ball kids, and then I was in charge of players and practice courts and dealing with all theirs, and then moved on to being the tournament director. So that's sort of my story. And I've been a volunteer with the USTA for over 30 years. I was chair of national junior competition, and was part of Southern, chair of junior comp in Southern. So, really love the tennis, obviously, from all of those levels, from junior tennis to now the professional tennis levels. And, they say a sport for a lifetime, and I'm absolutely the poster child for that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And from Memphis, you went to New York for the past few years. Is that right?
No, I went from Memphis. 2014 ran the tournament in Memphis, and then went down to Atlanta to saw an opportunity there. Went down to Atlanta for the what is now the Truist Atlanta Open, and kind of interestingly enough, went down there to work with a good friend of mine, Eddie Gonzalez. He was the tournament director, and I was his assistant, but he was new to the tournament director. He played at NC State, great tennis player. I'd known him for many years. And he said, look, I'll take care of the sponsorships and those sorts of things and all those. And you sort of helped me with the back end stuff of, ATP. And we ran a couple of great events. And then the company that I work for now, GF Sports and Entertainment, actually came in and bought the Memphis tournament and the Atlanta tournament. So in 2016, I guess it was, I got rejoined to the Memphis sort of tournament. And then they moved Memphis in 2017 to New York. And then when they moved it there, I became the tournament director up there in New York and ran that for 3 years. And then when the pandemic came, we were not able to run an event in 2021 because of the Australian Open moved to be on the same date as our event.
Right.
So when you don't have any players available, you can't run it as well as the the COVID situations. And what we found up in New York, we did some great things up there and really having a wonderful time. But we lost the intimacy that we had. We had 4,000 people on our finals for Braden Schnur and Riley Opelka. And it looked like there were, 100 people in there because it's such a large and expansive venue. So Gary Furman, our principal of our company of GS Sports Entertainment, he loves tennis. He owns and operates 7 tennis clubs in New York and actually in New Jersey, irrespective of his sort of day-to-day job. And he's wanted to keep American tennis growing and loved the idea when I said, well, look, we've got an opportunity to take our event to Dallas and at SMU. And he's like, that's exactly, that fits our model of our mantra of growing American tennis, giving back on a college campus and doing these things. So there's a fantastic opportunity. And so that's how we got to Dallas. Now I live down here in Dallas, about a mile from the tennis center, in a great area, and loved it so far. And it's been amazing. You've lived here in Texas for a long time, obviously, but I can tell you, I've been warmly embraced, and they've got that everybody's a friend mentality, and everybody's so excited about us bringing tennis back here. Everywhere I go, people have stories, people are excited. It's a good decision. I wasn't quite sure how good it would be, but as I've told many people, I think Texas is possibly the best kept secret for a tennis hub in the US. Everybody talks about Florida and the southern section and Southern
California.
Exactly. But when I got here, I was like, wow, there's a bunch of great academies, great coaches here. I know of a couple of coaches that are looking to start some academies here already. Since I've been here, I've heard the talks and met with a couple of them, and it's amazing how strong the tennis is here. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. There's a great community just throughout the state. So I think you'll get. It's good to hear that the finals sold out. I think the whole tournament's you'll see a really good attendance. And Dallas makes so much sense because it's so easy to fly into, both from the U.S. and internationally, right? If you live in New York,
correct.
Direct. If you live in California, direct. Even from Tokyo, you can get direct. Like
exactly,
so.
one of the few places that KLM flies into, and then with Dallas Love Field is actually 4 miles from the venue.
Right.
So you can fly into Love Field and 2 bags free. So those guys got a bunch of stuff with them.
Absolutely. Are you doing any coaching anymore?
Just a few people that I've met here. I just do a little bit. I still working a little bit and consult with a young lady who's out on the tour now, where I was with you.
Okay, Catherine.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, Catherine Harrison. After that match, she didn't do so well. Her and I had a tough coach to student discussion, and really gave her a sort of bit of a new roadmap, and she's been doing great ever since. So I've got on. She's got a great coach she's working with in Austin. So work with her some, and got a young lady to Tulane University. She's a freshman now. So when I was at home in Memphis for a little while, helped her and worked with her some, and so she got a chance to play at Tulane.
Awesome. That's exciting. That's good to hear. I need to have Catherine on the show. So when we were over there, we were at TCU. We were watching I think it was a 25K event.
25, yep.
And I remember sitting next to you, and we were watching a doubles match. And we're gonna have to visualize the court here for a second. So because we're starting to dive into double strategy. So they're serving to the ad court. They get into kind of a cross court rally in the ad court, and the far player decides to go kind of down the line at the net player's backhand volley.
Yeah.
You remember this? And then the girl tries to hit this like kind of inside out backhand volley in between the two players, which kind of makes some sense angle wise. But she sails it long. She floats it long. And we were talking, and you said, well, she should have just taken it short to the right, because it's a much easier volley, right? Across her body, back behind her. And I've thought about that a lot in my own game since then, because it makes a ton of sense. And I wanted to tell that story to show people, that volley across your body is so much easier. But talk a little bit about double strategy and kind of how you think about that. And you can talk about that specifically as well.
Well, look, doubles is all about understanding, for every shot in tennis, there's a correct and expected counter. Now, if the player, so that means you can cover 80% of the court. And doubles is really understanding what those angles are to cover it. And then you'll almost become, unbeatable. And so, when you've got somebody's ripping a ball cross court, and you're trying to take an inside out backhand to, 39 feet, and there's already a player in there, so you feel like you got to stick it. You're going for, the hardest shot there is. Mm-hmm. And if you look at Mike and Bob Bryan and watch some of their matches and their great points, they hit the volley right back to the person 2 or 3 times in a row, because they're patient and don't panic and say, "Oh, I've got a volley, I've got to put it away." Yes, as a volley, you are in the offensive position, but you've got to respect the shot that's hit to you. They've hit it at 100 miles an hour and it's dipping at your feet. That's just to get it back and play deep and, poach next one or something like that. So, as we're talking about that specific example, especially when the ball got high in that young lady and she's trying to take that shot, that's just a pure strength. Hit it back to the deep person until you get the ball that you want, and you're actually, making a move to poach on that. So I think that's the biggest thing that people tend to panic on when they get at the net. They're not happy to hit 2 volleys or 3 volleys. I mean, in reality, doubles is a serve, first volley deep, second volley short is perfect. But if they hit a great second ball back, and with, the way players are hitting this much more spin now with the poly strings, have to be a little more patient with it. I mean, that's the biggest thing I see is a lack of patience on it. Have confidence in your volley that, you warm up and you can hit 10 in a row. Well, don't panic. Because believe me, the baseline is also thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to hit it through them. They start hitting harder. And, I think if more amateur players thought about that, they'd be a lot more successful than they are. They always feel like, I'm at the net, I got to hit a winner. And right. I think coaching same way. Doesn't have to be. It's okay. If it takes 3 shots to win and you never make a mistake, you're going to win every match.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good points. And working, the past several years working with more like data, and I think we chatted about, I've been working with tennis analytics and Warren Pretorius, and learned that at every single level of the game, most points are going to end in an error anyways. So
Yep.
if you're already at the net trying to hit a winner on all of your volleys, then that's probably a problem. The goal should probably be to force an error, because that's how most points are going to end anyways.
That's a great strategy of way to think about it. Force the error, and you can force the error by hitting a good shot, or just to force the error by your own positioning. If I hit a volley deep to you on the baseline and you can see me up at the net and I'm moving a little bit, even though the ball's to you, you're going to be trying to do a little bit more. So I force the error from just a basic shot by pressure by position as well as pressure by my shot. And you're exactly right. I mean, Warren's been doing that stuff for years. I mean, years ago, I've spent many a time with Warren talking about it, and it is. Most matches are on unforced, and we're just errors, period, forced and unforced.
Right. Absolutely. So one thing, I don't think I've asked anybody this question yet, and you've had such a kind of a broad range of coaching experience from the pro level to club level players. So most people listening to this are probably in that like 3.5, 4.0, 4.5 level range for USTA. If somebody like that is going to a pro tournament and they want to go sit on the doubles court and watch, what can they be looking for to kind of take away from their own game? Because obviously it's a different pace. It's a little bit different style of play depending on who you're watching. But the main thing is, I guess, the speed and the footwork is so much faster. But what can they be looking for to kind of take away from their own game?
I think a couple of things they really can look at is, number one is the movement as the team. So to every ball that's hit, the guys are moving a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right based on the ball they hit. They never stand in the same position. And so many players at the level you're talking about tend to hit the ball and then react. So as I said to you, we know where the ball should come back 80% of the time. It's just, percentages. So every time you hit a ball, you're going to make a slight adjustment. So watch the movement and how the teams move together based on the angle. They're always covering the side of the court the ball is on and the middle. If the guy hits a super duper roll cross court, that's what, you let him have that. So if they watch that, I think is a huge part to it, and look to see where they hit so many of their shots. Look, I know as a coach, I've said it, a million times, down the middle solves the riddle. How often they're actually going through the middle of the court to set things up. And not as, because what happens, Will, is they remember the rip down the line return. Oh, did you see that? Yeah. But did you see the 10 cross court that actually won 7 points and the rip that won 1 out of 4? Yeah. We always remember the magic ESPN highlight shot. And look, you look at the stats of these matches, it's 56 to 44% of points won and lost. That's all it is, and that's a 2 and 3 match kind of thing. So if they watch those couple of things of where the majority of points are won, what the percentages are, I think you get a better sense of how to improve. That it's not about the flash; it's actually about the most solid guys. I mean, Mike and Bob Bryan, greatest doubles team ever, most titles, and neither one of them are super powerful, but they make the right decision. They move together every time, and they wait for their opportunities, and that's what the players at the 3.0 to 4.5 level, that's what they need to do. Don't rush it, and be okay with moving together and seeing where you win most points.
Right. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So I think the first thing you said, watching the pro players kind of move together based on where the ball is. So that kind of goes back to what we said earlier. I think in that case, it's probably best to watch from behind the baseline if they're gonna go to one of these doubles matches and try to watch that, so you can see all of those angles. And then the percentages. So like you said, 54, 56% of points is what's typically won for the match winner. And let's say like a 6-3, 6-4 match or something like that. So one thing, I may have mentioned this in a previous episode, but if you break that down into an 11 pointer, that's winning an 11 pointer 11 to 9. Like that's super close. Right.
It really is a lot closer than people realize. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So even like, I'll even see, and I go through a lot of this data with Warren at Tennis Analytics, and I'll even see a lot of matches that are like 2-2, and they won like 57% of the points. And it's like, so they won an 11-pointer 11-9, but it translated to 6-2, 6-2, which we still call a blowout. And it's like, it's not always that, that big of a gap. So
you're 100% right on that. Just a quick note. When I was doing junior tennis, going to no-ad scoring for some junior matches and I spoke to Wayne Bryan, because Wayne is very, if he endorses a concept, he's, very strong because he's, so well respected. And I expected to sort of have to sell him on it. And he said, no, that when the ATP went to the no-ad for the doubles, he said the guys won more matches, not a ton more, but he said they won more matches. And he did an analytics piece on it. And I said, how did you come up with that? He said, well, think of it this way. If there are more pressure points that Roger Federer is going to play against, a guy ranked 50 in the world, is Roger going to win more of those points? Well, yes. He said, so the good players win more often if there are more pressure points. And he said, yeah, sometimes they lost the matches they shouldn't. But he said, the more pressure points you have, the better player comes out. And I was like, okay, that's really interesting that's what comes down, because it all comes down to pressure points. And that's what you got to, that's when you got to step up. And I always thought that's pretty an interesting concept of how to look at it, that, a lot of people don't like it, but in college tennis, the guy that's going to win on that big point is more often than not the better player. So,
yeah, interesting. So this was like an analysis they did or something?
Yeah, he said, because, nobody look, tennis is one of the most traditional sports in the world. We don't like change.
Sure.
So when they went to the no-ad scoring in the pros, it was like, oh my gosh, this will be terrible. And so Wayne sort of, to his credit, like a great student of the game and keeping an open mind, he sort of did an analysis of it. And he said, the guys won more matches.
Interesting.
It really is. Now, it wasn't like they won 100 more matches. Don't get me crazy.
Yeah.
But he said there was statistically just that little bit more that was interesting. And I mean, I'll tell you very quick on that. Memphis was one of the first tournaments that ever did no-ad scoring. And it was a match with Mahesh Bhupathi, Justin Gimelstob on our grandstand court. And the first time they went to a 10-point match tiebreaker. And stands were filled. It went match point backwards and forwards, 16-14, crowd going nuts, unbelievable. Both teams had chances. And then the ATP took down a survey to give to the crowd, do you like it? Do you like it? It was like 75% said, no, we'd rather see a third set. And I couldn't believe it. We thought this would be the ultimate fan test. They loved it. The traditionalists in tennis said, I still want to see a third set. I'm like, but you just saw where both teams had chances and, a volley winner here, or a missed return there. So anyway.
That's funny. That's interesting. Is that analysis published online somewhere? I would love to see that. Just
I don't think so. I mean, that was a conversation I had with Wayne.
That's all right. Just curious.
Yeah, look, I might see if I can reach out to Wayne. I mean, I hope he remembers it. I vividly remember it. The conversation where he said, it's okay. He specifically talked about when he was coaching a world team tennis match and Mark Knowles was playing for his team, and he said on the biggest point of the match, Mark hadn't played well, but he said on the biggest point of the match, he said,
he figured
Mark
it out.
took the return. And he said, Mark took the return, because World Team Tennis did that back in those days, I think it was no-ad, and Mark makes the big return on the big point. And that's why Wayne said, that's why you sort of have to think that way. I thought, interesting. So analytics, tennis has been slow to pick up the analytics, but look, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, it's coming.
It is. I'm a big believer in it.
So let's see so another thing you mentioned is that down the line shot. So I talk about this a lot on some of the strategy episodes where it's me just kind of talking about strategy and this down the line, like if you're the server's partner, you get passed on the down the line return. It feels like you gave up 5 points, even though it's only 1. So one tip that I've had for listeners in the past, and this is something I did for myself once I started getting more into doubles 5 or so years ago, was I actually started keeping like kind of a mental tally when I'm the server's partner. And it's like, okay, every time I move, there's 2 errors and then I get beat down the line. And there's 2 more errors and then I get beat down the line. So that means I'm winning 66% of the points. I'll take that.
Absolutely.
So I actually kind of tricked myself into being happy when I got beat down the line, because I'm giving them confidence in a low percentage shot. And then they miss it and they're like, oh, I made it before, so I can make it again. And they just don't give up, or they just keep trying it. Right.
100% right. When I was coaching, and my 3-5 ladies, I said, if you don't get passed down the line a couple of times in a match, you're doing nothing at the net. You're a Statue of Liberty. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
You've got to be creating some, as I mentioned, pressure by position. To cover the line, as they say, means that your partner now has, 70% of the court to cover. The idea is, you want to, if you're the net player, you want to have your hip, your outside hip closest to the doubles line, in line with your returner's inside hip. Then with one step, you're going to cover most of the line, unless it's within about a foot of the line, and you can then be in a position to poach for it, because you're already in their view sort of a little bit. I use that. And so you're 100% right. If you win 66% of the points, you win the match every time. And again, I'd rather say if you don't get beaten, that's actually a bad thing. So.
Yeah, it definitely is. So let's talk, what about serve strategy? How do you think about that for club level players?
The key is doubles is about angles. It's not bad to hit the ball straight at the player. So people don't use the body serve enough. And it's not even so much that it has to be a fast serve, but if you make them have to make a decision on whether they return a forehand or a backhand, it's also safest, obviously, because you have the most room in the court to pretty much hit that. Everybody's wanting to, either go straight down the line or out wide. And obviously, if you have a great serve, that's terrific. But going straight at them is also a very good play, because when you handcuff them, they don't have the angle to create off the return, and your net partner can do a little bit more. You create a few more lobs. So I think that's probably a strategy that doesn't get used enough in amateur doubles. It's, everybody thinks, we've got to, hit the line, get it out wide. Actually straight at them. And if you've got a little bit of slice and you can go at them, if that's a little bit better level, bit about control, that's the hardest return there is. I mean, I can tell you right now, somebody slide a ball into my body, into my forehand, it's nightmare for me.
Tough. Yeah. I had Nico Pereira on a few, the episode was released a few weeks ago, but I chatted with him about a month and a half ago, and he said the same thing. He said the body serve he thinks is very underutilized. And since he said that, I've started using it a little more myself. And I think one thing that I find with most players, at least at my level, I just got bumped up to 5-0, which was pretty exciting.
Congrats.
Thank you. But what I find is most players either struggle with the body forehand or the body backhand serve, or at least they'll hate one more than the other.
Yep.
So if I can figure that out early on in a match and figure out where they do like to hit it, just taking that away has a huge strategic advantage on the serve.
I'll give you a little tip to maybe help you figure out which one is better or worse.
Yeah.
When you're warming up with them, if you try and hit a ball just straight at them, just in the rally, they will tend to go to the side they like to hit a little bit more. And so if they sort of move around and hit a backhand, you go, okay, they like their backhand a little bit more.
That's good.
So it's why, again, I subscribe to the Brad Gilbert winning ugly type theory of you got to use every tool in your quiver, so to speak, every area in your quiver. And so I was always trying to take note of those sorts of things, like, okay, all right, they run around it, so I know that that's probably their weakness. So keep that in the computer bank to use on the big point.
That's really good. Yeah, I am definitely going to steal that. I don't feel like I use my my kind of 5-minute warm up enough to do that sort of stuff. So what about a return strategy and then rallying?
The return strategy is at the lob is another shot that, we all go, don't be a pusher. A good lob is a good lob. is a good lob at any level. Again, I use Mike and Bob. The amount of times I hit a good lob that's landing a foot from the baseline, you nullify your opponents. Don't be afraid to use a lob return as much as you want. And again, I believe early you should try and take a return down the line early in a match to establish that, as we just sort of talked about. You find out very quickly, if they're a great player, they don't get phased. They're still going to poach on you. But many players, I got past down the line, I got to cover my line. And so they never move again the rest of the match.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's again, to your sort of point of, you might give up 1 point going down the line, but if you now have that person not poaching, your cross-court return becomes much easier. So and when you get into the rally, the other part about if you're in the backhand side, hitting the ball a little bit higher over the net, you don't have to rip it low, because again, a high backhand volley, hardest shot in tennis. And as we talked about at the beginning of the program, high backhand inside out, they're not going to do much with that. That's really the key. I think on that, cross court, everybody hits a good roll. Just got to make sure you keep it out of their range. Don't panic. If they poach and make a great shot, that's okay. You let them beat you by them doing something good rather than you trying to force it. That's what doubles is about. Don't force the issue. Be patient with it. Take your chances when you've got it. So in the rally work, don't feel like you've got to beat them at the net or beat them on the baseline. Have to hit it harder than them. You don't.
Right. Yeah. Trying to, I always tell people, like, trying to win the doubles match from the baseline typically is not going to be the best strategy, but especially if you're trying to hit winners from back there.
Yeah. The only team I think, when you're seeing actually Ruff and Nadal's been playing some doubles, I'm sure you've been watching a few of those in the ATP Cup.
Yeah.
He's hanging back there a little bit, but that's a different kind of forehand that's coming at you at the net some, but he's also made some great volleys, You're not going to win the match. Your opponents might lose it if you hang back and they make enough errors, but at the end of the day, you do still have to get to the net, I believe, in doubles to win more doubles matches. Yeah,
I totally agree. All right, so let's do a couple of rapid fire questions and then I will let you go. What is, other than your own, what is your favorite tennis tournament other than the Dallas Open?
Yeah, absolutely. Dallas Open is the best. I'd say the Atlanta Truist Open is number 2. So
okay.
I've got those two out of the way. Look, Wimbledon is the Mecca. It's hard to beat Wimbledon. I actually wore a suit there the entire day and didn't feel out of place. That's the holy grail of that. But the other one too is, Indian Wells is a fantastic event. Just it's so relaxed. It's so beautiful out there. So from that level. But I have not been to all of the tournaments in the US, so I can't say that for all of them. But I've not been to the new Miami event. I know that's I hear great stories about it, but Wimbledon's the Mecca, no doubt about it. And Indian Wells is just such a great atmosphere.
Yeah, both good choices. What is your favorite tennis book?
I'd say probably Andre's book. Very interesting read. And, look, one of the first tournaments he won was Memphis. So there's a lot of throwback and, sort of nostalgia there, because I was running the Ball Kids when he won that. And also, I think the last sort of page or whatever it is him and Steffi hitting out in the rain in Las Vegas. People have won gold medals and every slam in the world, and they're still out hitting balls in the rain with each other. Yeah. They love the game of tennis. I just think that's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah. It is a great book. What is your favorite non-tennis book?
Favorite non-tennis book? Oh gosh, the Harvey Penick, the book of the Spoiled Walk. I mean, I'm a golfer that likes to do that as well. So I'd say that's probably, always thinking about the golf and how I can get better at that, because my best tennis days are behind me. I still think I've got a little bit of time in golf. So it's still sport, if you couldn't tell the theme right there.
Yeah, there you go. What's your favorite tennis story?
Sort of from my tournament director times, I would, I've got some great ones in there, but I think
Yeah.
Andy Roddick in Memphis the year he won it, when he hit the diving forehand down the line on match point.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes of that, Will, is that I got a call from his trainer an hour before the match that he's not feeling well. He's probably not going to play. You need to make plan B. Huge, crazy scurry between TV. We're not going to have a match. We've got to have the fans that are there, all the stuff going on. A doubles match that goes, third set breakers. So instead of having, 45 minutes, we've now got 15 minutes before. And then Andy wakes up and says, I'll give it a shot. And he goes out and it's 7-6, 6-7, 7-5 in the third. Andy wins the longest final we've ever had. And, the match point where he is on the ground against Milos down the line. So from my standpoint, nobody knows that was sort of happening, but it was just, that was probably the coolest thing that, I was a part of, that I saw from the director days.
Yeah. Yeah. So when Hamlin interviewed you a few weeks ago and then wrote that piece, which we'll link to in the show notes as well. He clipped the video of the shot, and I watched it earlier today, and it is one of the best shots I've ever seen.
It was voted number 2 for the year, behind Novak's smack winner at 40-15 in the fifth against Roger at the US Open, when he almost tanked and he hit it so hard, hit a clean winner. I still think ours was the number 1 shot of the year, but Tennis Channel said that was number 1. So, and I will actually, very quickly, I'll just tell you my own personal story is got to warm up with Stefan Edberg in Memphis years ago when he was number 4 in the world. So I'm warming up with him, and I go to the net, I got a volley, I hit a little cut drop volley, and I turn my back on him thinking I've hit a winner. And then I hear this footsteps, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I sort of, look over my shoulder, and the guy gets to it, hits the winner on me. I'm like, I just turned my back on this guy thinking I hit a winner. Who do I think I am? And thank goodness it was a practice, so nobody else was there except me. But I thought I was way cool. But number 4 in the world is a whole lot quicker than any person I'd ever played before. So.
Wow. Did he say anything, or did he kind of stare you down? Or
no, I just kept on walking, didn't turn around. I was so embarrassed. I would say, "Hey, sorry, I turned my back and you disrespected you. I thought I hit a winner, and you made me feel like a knucklehead." So.
That is good. So last question for you. How do we make doubles more popular?
It's the most played game on the amateur level. Yeah. But it's never watched on TV. I think, honestly, what makes people love it, and well, I shouldn't say, I think people do love it. We just don't watch it on TV, and the TV is all about ratings. If you have the big guys play it, back in the days when doubles was great, John McEnroe's playing doubles. Yeah. Those guys are playing doubles and singles, and Mark Woodford and Todd Woodbridge, those guys were great singles players as well. I think that's an aspect of, if those guys played more of it, like when Roger and Rafa play, I'll watch the doubles, because the stars are playing. They may not be playing pure conventional, but from a pro level, if that happened more, I think we'd get more into it. Because right now, unfortunately, if you said the top 10 doubles players, there's very few people in the world, and myself included, I couldn't name all top 10 doubles guys. And, one of them is a former University of Memphis guy, Joe Salisbury. I mean, I know him obviously really great, and Rajiv Ram and that. But I think that, we need the bigger guys to play it, because, you and I both know, you walk out on the social courts and all of it's doubles. Everybody loves to play doubles, but they just don't watch it. And that's, I don't know what else to say, but, we were told one time by the TV guys, if there's a Williams, a Federer, or a Nadal playing in a doubles match, they want to cover it, because that's when people keep the TVs tuned to it.
So how can we get more of the stars playing it? I mean, this is not like something that's going to happen in probably the next 5 years, but if we're thinking about like a 20-year timeline, like what kind of baby steps can we take?
Are you seeing more of them playing it just simply because of the rules that you can use your singles ranking to get in?
Yeah.
But look, the hard part is the physicality of it all. I mean, John McEnroe's singles and doubles finals of a Grand Slam back in the days when there were 3 out of 5 in doubles. They loved the game. The game has become so high tech, and so these guys are trained like F1 racing cars now. That they'll play a match, and they've got the massage therapist, the lowdown. It's just harder to fit it in. So I think maybe if there was more prize money, but at the same time, sort of that's the chicken before the egg, because so I honestly don't necessarily have a great answer for how to do that. I mean, the one thing I will say, actually, play more mixed, and all of the combined events. If you play mixed, that's what's more fun. I mean, the Hopman Cup in my home city of Perth, Paul Kildare did a great job putting that event on, and McNamee started it. And the mixed doubles, my sister went to mixed doubles, what everybody loved. I mean, I was talking to John Isner about it. He played with Serena. He loved playing with Serena. I mean, Serena loved playing against Roger in it. That would probably create more. I mean, look, Nick Kyrgios played with Venus the other year at Wimbledon. Yeah. Guess what? You couldn't get a ticket to that match. I think that's stars plus mixed. I mean, I was pushing for it when I was in charge of junior comp, that we do some more mixed doubles. Have not necessarily all the big events, but lower events.
Sure.
What does a 16-year-old boy want to do? He wants to hang out with a 16-year-old girl. So let's play mixed doubles. It's strategic. You got to figure out how to play, and and all that sort of stuff. So I think mixed doubles, as you sort of make me think about it, mixed doubles would be more of that. Obviously, you have to have combined events, but I think Indian Wells and Miami, if they played mixed doubles and featured it, where the better players, not better players, that's wrong because they're all great players, but the higher profile players played it. Yeah, I mean, I'd watch it. I mean, I enjoy watching, because it's also at a speed that I can relate to a little bit better. Sometimes when those guys up at the net and the speed they're hitting the ball, it's hard to relate to it. And so mixed double, you can relate. You can see the angles develop a little bit more and that sort of stuff. So there you go. That's my answer. More mixed doubles.
I like that answer a lot. I've asked this to every guest on the show, and we have not had that answer. I think that makes a ton of sense. It's really good.
I mean, well, I mean, look, again, we all play mixed doubles. I played, so much mixed doubles in Atlanta. I never played it before. It's the most fun there was. You have to figure out how to beat, sort of a weaker link, or the pressure actually as a guy returning a slow second serve from a girl when you're supposed to rip it. Like, as we were talking about earlier, like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to hit this for a winner, but I can't do it because it's, the hardest thing to do in tennis is generate pace off a no pace ball. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. Well, Peter, thank you so much for hopping on, and I will see you in Dallas at the Dallas Open, February 6th through 13th, and people can get tickets at dallasopen.com.
Terrific. Well, we look forward to it, and appreciate the time, and look forward to seeing you at the event.
Awesome. If you want to become a smarter doubles player and start winning more matches, then join the Tennis Tribe Doubles Strategy newsletter. Every single Thursday, I'll send you a new doubles tip or tactic that you can use in your very next match. And when you join, you're going to get a free guide on how to play with more confidence and start dominating at the net in doubles. My name's Will. I'm the founder of the Tennis Tribe, and over the last 5 years, I've worked with players at every level of the game, from USTA 3.0 players all the way to Division I college programs, as well as some of the top 10 doubles players in the world. And on Thursdays, with this strategy newsletter, I share that knowledge and advice that I've gained over the years with you. So to sign up, you can go to thetennistribe.com. And again, you'll get that free net play guide when you join.